Hey everybody, Joe9001 here, and welcome to day 4 of my Zelda month. We are going to be talking about Link's Awakening. Now, this was the 4th installment Nintendo had to the Legend of Zelda franchise, but it was also the first one to come on a handheld console. Now, initially, when it was in development, it began as a port for the Super Nintendo's title of A Link to the Past. But after several hours of development through Nintendo staff, it eventually became its own project in itself, with its own story and script. Like, it's one of the few Zelda games that's not taken place in Hyrule, and doesn't feature Zelda or the Triforce at all. What happens, though, is Link begins the game stranded on an island, which is guarded by a creature known as the Windfish. And as Link, you fight monsters, solve puzzles, while searching for 8 musical instruments that will awaken the sleeping Windfish. Now where does that sound familiar? Well, the Windfish part, not the instruments. Well, we'll get into that another time. But after its critical and commercial success, critics praised the game for its depth and a number of features. The complaints were more focused on the way the controls were and the monochrome graphics. A remake of it, Link's Awakening DS, was released on Game Boy Color in 1998. Now, it did feature color graphics and compatibility with the Game Boy printer, and an exclusive color-based dungeon. So, together, the two versions of the game sold more than 6 million copies worldwide, and appeared on multiple game publication lists as one of the best games of all time. Now, it set outside Hyrule, like I said before, and it omits locations and characters from the previous games, aside from the protagonist Link, and a passing mention of Princess Zelda. Instead, like I said, it takes place on the island, which is cut off from the rest of the world. It's a small island, but contains a large number of secrets and interconnected pathways, which I'd imagine he would get from one place to another. And you're given advice and directions by non-playable characters such as a shy old man, I can't pronounce the name right, who communicates Link through a telephone, which I think is kind of odd. But I think this is the first instance that the whole Legend of Zelda era does not really take place in medieval times, as a lot of people think. This is like a first instance, I think, is that the Legend of Zelda series is its own fantasy world that somehow has some kind of future technology, like this being an instance for a telephone, and in like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, like them having the hook shot, which we'll get into that later. There's been cameo appearances in this game from other Nintendo titles such as Wart, Yoshi, Kirby, Dr. Wright, and like Dr. Wright from SimCity, and the Exile Prince Richard from a Japanese title which I cannot pronounce. A chomp enemy was included after a programmer gave Link the ability to grab a creature and take it for a walk. Now, the plot to this is that Link travels abroad, like around the world, to train for further threats. A storm destroys his boat at sea, and he is washed ashore on this island. And he is taken into a house of Terrain and his daughter Marin. the daughter is fascinated by Link and the outside world, and tells Link wistfully that if she was a seagull, she would leave and travel across the sea. Yeah, don't get into that. After collecting all 8 of the instruments from the 8 dungeons, Link goes on top of the mountain and plays the Battle of the Wind. Where does that make a reappearance? I'll get to that. Trust me, I'll get to it. He confronts the last evil being, a nightmare that takes the form of Ganon. So it's not Ganon himself, it's just something that's taken the form of him, just to, you know, boogity boogity, I'm freaking you out kind of thing. So that's pretty much the whole ordeal. And I guess that will do. And I will see you guys next time when we start talking about everyone's favorite childhood Legends of Zelda game, Ocarina of Time. See you guys then. Goodbye.